Hi, I'm Heather with First Pioneers Federal Credit Union, and welcome to the Money Tips No One Told You podcast. Here at First Pioneers, we love helping you understand your finances better and giving you the tools you need to be financially successful. Here, we're going to talk about financial terminology, how different accounts work. We're going to share tips that make your financial life easier, and so much more. Are you ready to dive in? Okay, welcome back, everyone. I'm actually really excited about this episode because I have a very special guest with me today. Angela's here. Angela, why don't you introduce yourself to all of our listeners?
Well, thank you, Heather. Good morning. I'm Angela Morrison, and I work with United Way of Acadiana, serving as their Chief Impact Officer. And I'm excited to be with you today to talk about our partnership, the Bank On Acadiana partnership.
Yes, and it's so fun. We've been so excited to be part of this. I've really enjoyed all the different events that we've had, or the Facebook lives and whatnot, talking about different financial needs. So it's actually really fun, and I'm so glad we've been part of it. Why don't you explain what Bank On is?
Following a national model, Bank On Acadiana is a collaborative, voluntary initiative that strives to bring together financial institutions like yours, community organizations, local governments, and federal and state regulatory agencies to help the unbanked of Acadiana open starter bank accounts and sometimes second chances, and so that they can better enter the financial mainstream, where they can really do a good job of begin saving, building credit, and investing for the future. In fact, my background that I'm using is from one of our sessions when we talked about using credit wisely. So Bank On and credit union partners offer no cost or low cost checking accounts to increase banking accessibility for all. During the COVID-19 pandemic, it was very obvious to us that there were many thousands of families in our communities, because this is a regional effort. It's not just a Lafayette effort, but all of the area that we serve in Acadiana, so that people who are not able to access affordable, reasonable, trustworthy financial services are now able to do this, because as a coalition, we're making people aware of the opportunities.
Yeah.
So Bank On Acadiana is modeled after the successful Bank On San Francisco program, which began in 2006 and resulted in over 10,000 new accounts opened in the first year. And that's amazing, right? But San Francisco, it's a large metropolis. But when we talk about Acadiana, we're talking about over 350,000 people that make up our region. And in that region, there's probably about 10 to 12% of that population that are unbanked. And then when we talk about underbanked, we want to add on another 20%. So having a coalition of financial institutions like yours, that includes yours, First Pioneers, we want to be able to do more for those that are not being able to access those services. So that's what Bank On is.
And that's just so amazing. And I think sometimes when we that's part of what credit unions want to do is, it's people helping people. And one of our goals at the credit union and with this podcast and doing things like this is we want people to be financially successful. And it's a little mind-boggling when you look at just how many people just don't know or just don't have the services in front of them, and how much better their lives would be, if they just knew those things. And I used to have a boss that used to say, you just don't know what you don't know. And it's true. They just don't know what they need sometimes to even ask the questions.
Right.
Programs like this are just so important. And I don't think people realize, especially ones that were maybe raised in a household where it was just kind of automatic that you got your checking account, you had a savings account or whatever. But those that maybe weren't raised in that kind of environment, or maybe their parents just didn't know to teach them. you
Well,
know?
so many families don't trust financial institutions, and for many reasons. It could be, various ways. They may have not understood fees. They may not have understood how to balance a checkbook. I know of people who come from very moderate income families that actually don't teach that practice in their home. And the more we have become technology friendly, we rely on our apps to tell us if we have enough money in our bank account to go
Yep.
out to dinner or to buy those new pair of jeans. And sometimes that's not always the best way to do it. So yes, those practices are not necessarily something that we ingrain in ourselves from early ages. And so one of the things that we can do with the Bank On Coalition is to support education systems. And that's why this collaboration is so important, to include many different types of institutions and systems and organizations, to include government and school systems, so that we can do more of that piece. Because United Way of Acadiana has definitely embraced Bank on Acadiana as a critical program to improve the financial stability of as many Acadiana residents as we can.
Yes, that is amazing, and I love that there's that outreach available for people, just in so many different types of programs, so many different subjects that I know we've been involved in a couple, and you're right, to have so many different financial institutions involved, so that you choose what fits you. I mean, it's not a
Right,
one size fits all on our side,
right,
so,
right.
to have different people come to the table, because you never know who you'll connect with or who you feel like that's who you want to do business with. So I think that's amazing. Um, so who do you feel like, I know we've probably touched on this a little bit already, but who do you feel like Bank On really helps in our community?
Well, I really believe that the institutions and organizations that are involved are providing opportunities to focus on connecting with families, individuals, not just for personal and consumer pieces, but also small micro businesses that are unbanked or underbanked in our communities, to help them gain and then maintain financial stability. So I talked about the percentage of our families that are unbanked. So let me just tell you what that means. Not everybody understands that. So to be without any type of financial uh, not being a part of a financial institution with a checking or even a savings account. That means you're unbanked. You don't have access to those services. To be underbanked is to have an account, but continue to rely on alternative financial services such as check cashing services or predatory lenders, like pawn shops and payday loan lenders. I have to honestly say to you, Heather, not to get too far off target, but the institutions that I just described, the alternative financial institutions, are probably the number one reason why a lot of our families are not financially stable. Because if you're going to a check cashing service, and you're paying 10% to them of whatever that check is, then that's 10% less that you can bring home to feed your family. And so many families that reach out for services are trying to choose between paying for medication or paying for food or having to keep their lights on. And so that 10% can make the difference. Going to payday lenders for loans, those exorbitant fees and interest rates. Can you imagine the cycle you would be in to have that 200% interest rate? I mean, and Louisiana has really worked hard to try to cap those, but we have not been successful. And so
Right.
we don't really have a way we're not well, not that we want a lot of regulations, but there are some things that we can do to protect our families more. But having the financial institutions that really care about this, they don't need to be regulated to do it. They're doing it because it's important and it's necessary.
Right. And it's true. We've seen so many people that just got caught in that cycle of they needed an emergency loan, or the payday lender loans,
Mhm,
and they
mhm.
got caught in that cycle, and they just couldn't seem to get out of it.
Right,
It just sort of snowballs on itself because of those high interest rates. So yes, I agree. That's absolutely one of our goals, is to
right.
help people find those loans that they can afford
Mhm,
to get them where they need to be, and
mhm,
pay those back, get their credit score up, so
mhm,
they can then
mhm.
get better interest rates, and
Right,
that snowballs, then, the
right,
good thing snowballs.
right, right, right.
So, yeah, and it's
And
horrific to see it. It breaks my heart to see people
mhm,
that have gotten, and it was nothing bad that they did. It was just maybe a bad decision, or not a questionable decision, or
mhm,
just they got into a financial bind. They had a
mhm,
bill they had to pay. They got behind for whatever reason. So,
mhm, mhm,
it's just one mistake or one little sort of misstep gets
mhm.
them in that horrible cycle that they just need somebody to help them get out of it.
Right. We talk about the Alice population, and those are the folks that are hardworking individuals, but they're just one paycheck away from a disaster, and sometimes not even a whole paycheck away. Because not long right after Christmas, between Christmas and New Year, our refrigerator went out at home.
Mm,
That's not a cheap investment, but because my husband and I have been responsible in saving and then with our credit, we were able to walk into a local appliance dealer and purchase a new refrigerator. Not everyone can do that. And if you can't do that, then not only are they losing their refrigeration, but the food that was in the refrigerator. And then it just continues to cycle. Yeah.
yeah, and like I said, it's heartbreaking. We had a similar thing. Well, ours was right after the first of the year, I guess.
Mhm.
Our AC unit went out.
And that's not
And
cheap.
so we had, oh my gosh, it was so not cheap. And then we had we were going to have no heat
Mhm.
going
Oh,
into
yeah. That
that
freeze.
freezing weather. In fact, it happened right before that, and we were able to get it installed right before that. But a very similar thing, because we have credit, and we've worked on our credit, and we have good credit, and whatnot. We were able to do what we needed to do to take care of that. But it was no easy feat to get that done.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, I can't imagine if we were truly living paycheck to paycheck like we have before. I mean,
Mhm.
we've lived
Mhm.
that way in times in our
Mhm.
lives.
Oh, me too. Mhm.
And I mean, with inflation now, it's
Mhm.
even harder
Right.
to
Right,
make
right.
ends meet. That little bit of extra you finally make seems to be taken up at the grocery store. But it's a very difficult thing, and I always feel for people, because I feel like they don't know how to ask the question, or
Mm.
maybe they feel a little embarrassed to ask
Mhm.
a question, and there's no
Mhm.
need for that. Everybody's been there. There's no need for that. Just, you're in a safe place. You can come
Right.
ask. We'll do what we can.
Well, I always say there are a couple things that people, really have to work with, and that's falling in love and their finances.
Very true. Very true.
They're very personal, and then sometimes, we wanna talk about it and we're excited, but if things don't go well, we have a lot of shame that goes along with that, so yeah.
Yeah. And it's very, I think it's just kind of maybe the way we were raised. I know in my house, often money was a little bit taboo.
Mhm. Mhm.
You didn't talk about money.
Mhm.
People didn't
Mhm.
know what you made, and you didn't know what they
Right.
made,
Right.
and those kinds of things. And I agree, it is a personal thing, and it's not something that you have to share, obviously. But it's I think it's hard to get past that point of there's no shame when you need a little help in your life. No,
Mhm. Right, right, right.
you
And
know.
that's what I love about the Bank on Coalition Partners, because every institution that is involved with it is because you have the team on board that can work with your clients or your members with empathy, and not just, that that's your problem or you need to fit in this little piece. This is a program that we really strive to ensure that the partners are willing to work with empathy and not just trying to make people what they think they should be. Exactly.
Right. Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. That's one of my favorite things
Mhm.
about working in credit unions.
Yes, yes, yes. Mhm.
So, can you share with us what kinds of programs that are offered through Bank On?
Yes, by accessing services through our Bank on Acadiana financial institution partners, such as yours, individuals may have access to affordable, low to no cost checking accounts, like we talked about, being able to get into a financial product that they can understand, not only afford, but understand and begin to practice positive behaviors that will lead them to some positive results. Because a lot of times when we walk into something new, we want a quick win. And therefore having a product that will provide that, you will see in 6 months, people begin to have a different behavior and attitude. So many of our partners are able to do that. They also provide resources to credit counseling. You talked about that, Heather, about how you guys work with your members to help them repair credit, build the credit that they need. So when the air conditioning and heating unit goes out, or their refrigerator is gone, or their car won't start that day, they're ready. They can do something to either they have that emergency savings account, or they're able to walk into your bank and or your institution or your credit union and say, I need help right now, and you can give them an emergency loan. Pathways to home ownership, that's always a very popular piece because we know that's the quickest way to get to financial stability. I think I was much better with my financial health once my husband and I purchased our first home, and because we became seemingly overnight much more responsible. It wasn't like we were temporary, we had something permanent. So I know this is very attractive, and as well as money management skills, you know, checking accounts, being able to make sure you understand what's on your credit report at all times, and being able to do those things. Those are the kinds of things that we look forward to. Louisiana has probably the lowest level of financial literacy in the state, just just above Mississippi. Okay, so in a study by the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, 2.67 answers were correctly answered by people. That's how they're able to assess our literacy rate out of 5 basic questions about finance. And so almost 2/3 of our Louisianians spend all they make or more each month on on just stuff. And so they lack a rainy day fund. So we talk a lot about that at our Bank on Coalition meetings and what we can do to ensure that we meet the needs of people. Again, it was important for us to do this because, as I said earlier, during the pandemic, it became very obvious that a lot of families were financially illiterate and they were unbanked or underbanked, and what they weren't able to access those resources that were being provided. There were many people who enjoyed the resources and were very happy to get them, but there were so many families that missed out or they're still struggling. Just at the end of this month, a lot of people who were receiving additional resources through SNAP and other programs, that's ending. All of those pandemic relief efforts are ending. And so it's important that people understand that. And even through your financial institution, people, the counselors, the people who work with individuals, members, clients, can help them to understand how this can impact their financial health.
Yeah, that's going to be big because I know people are relying on that. And then again, with
Mhm.
inflation, it's just,
Mhm.
it's making it more and more difficult on families. Money management just
Mhm.
becomes such a big part of
Mhm.
what you have to do because it is easy to spend your money on stuff, isn't it? If you don't think about, okay, let me pay those bills, let me put some money back for savings, then you can have your stuff.
Right, right. Because one thing that we want to ensure that the unbanked families are not forced to rely on those expensive, and we talked about predatory lenders and those kinds of resources, rent to own stores, auto title lenders. Oh my God. And they lack the ability to save for the future. So we want to be able to, empower people. It's not like it's a Band-Aid or I'm gonna fix it for you. We want to empower people to do this themselves. And so financial education and coaching is so important. And our partners are willing to do that. People who are unbanked, underbanked, they're more likely to be victims of theft or fraud because they are using those alternative financial services that are not always saved. And of course, we talked about the pandemic showing all of that. But one other way that people can get some infusion of cash and also maybe start a healthy savings is utilizing their tax return. We have, again, alternative financial methods that people go to, and they get predatory lenders who will say, oh, come get your taxes done here and you'll get your money today. They don't realize that when that money that they get today is not necessarily all the money that they deserve to put into their own hands. So United Way of Acadiana has partnered with other nonprofit agencies in the community to provide our free volunteer income tax assistance services. We commonly call it VITA sites. And so we have IRS trained volunteers that will provide free tax preparation for people who have a household income of $60,000 or less in a year, which is really a good threshold. It serves a lot of people who English is their second language because they may have difficulty understanding those steps. So the IRS wants to make sure everyone has the same availability and equitable opportunities to file taxes and get their return, as well as senior citizens. Of course, we always want to take care of people who are 65 and older, and I'm getting close to that. So I'm excited to have those services. But anyone who's interested in getting that service, they just need to contact 211 to schedule an appointment, or that's 337-232-HELP. That's our local information and referral center. They will help us with scheduling an appointment. But that's another way for people to get cash or money in so that they can go to your institution and they can open a savings account. Many families who take advantage of the earned income tax credit, or they can get a good head start towards that home ownership or paying off some high debt or doing other things. So that's another way to increase their financial health right now. And that's also part of what Bank On promotes.
Yeah, that's such a great tip. Actually, I think our last episode, I was talking about that, when you need a savings account or you need to start a savings account, you're right, getting that, because it's a little bit more money than you would normally have. It's that kind of extra money. And, to be able to take that and jumpstart your savings, versus just, oh, what can I spend this on? Is that,
Mhm.
really think about that and take a minute to go, what's a better way
Mhm.
to spend that money that might get me a little further in life or
Mhm.
towards a goal that you're trying to reach. So yeah,
Mhm.
and we will also make sure that we put your phone numbers and your information and all in the show notes. If anybody is looking for that, they'll be able to find it. Very
Great, that's perfect. Thank you. If I could just add, at here at United Way, we have envisioned a world where all individuals and families achieve their human potential. For about 72 years, United Ways across the world were really about strengthening the community by lifting our local nonprofit groups and providing disaster relief services. But today, the United Way of Acadiana is a team of community-based problem solvers who are focused on positivity and impacting the growth and well-being of our community and neighbors. And Bank On is one of those efforts to allow us to do that, because we want to be a conduit and a collaborator. And I say we want to, we actually are. And so Bank On is one of the efforts that is evidence of that happening. And we are constantly pursuing ways to unite people and organizations with a passion like what you have at First Pioneers, as well as the expertise to be able to help those citizens that we just talked about, who need banking services in an impactful way. So we're proud to be one of the nearly 1,800 United Ways in 41 countries and territories. And just in the state of Louisiana, we are one of 4 Bank On coalitions that are sponsored by United Ways.
That is awesome. I didn't know there were 4. That's really neat.
Yes, there's one in New Orleans, Baton Rouge, we're here, and then in Shreveport.
Okay, so we
Well,
cover in the major metros, I guess, in town.
Yes,
in the state. So.
And I know that the Northeast United Way they have a prosperity center, and so they too are working to build their coalition along with the cities and governments. And I'm looking forward to getting more of our government agencies or governments on board so that they can begin to make really good referrals to our Bank On partners for these services.
Yeah, that's so important. The partnerships are just so important. Everybody coming together and bringing their skill set, and the things that they know to everybody to help everyone accomplish their goals and just make Acadiana a better place, the whole state a better place. That's so wonderful. I always love hearing the great things that United Way does. So are there any future plans that you want to talk about with Bank On or United Way, either one?
Yeah. So, since we relaunched Bank On, because actually we started with the city of Lafayette back in 2009 with Bank On, and continued to work with financial institutions. But in 2021, again, after the pandemic or during the pandemic, it became very obvious to United Way that we needed to beef up our work in that area. So we relaunched in 2021 our Bank On coalition to be able to meet the needs of the communities, the families, the individuals, everyone. So now we are continuing to educate the targeted audience, just like what we're doing today, Heather, talking about Bank On and what First Pioneers is able to do to assist in this area. So we want to continue that, but also, as I said earlier, we're working with the local governments to be able to really focus in on the underbanked and unbanked in our communities. I'm actually working with St. Martinville, the city of St. Martinville, to be able to do more through their government, through their city hall, to be able to get people the information that they need about where they can go to get responsible, friendly, affordable financial services. Because of I talked about small and micro businesses earlier. There are so many small businesses, especially in the rural areas like that, but there may not be as many banking resources for them, but there are ways to do it, especially now with technology, right? So we're going to be doing more and more building who our partners are this year. That's my goal, is to get more government agencies involved with our financial institutions. So we're talking together to make sure that we're creating the synergy that we need to impact more families. And other things that we're going to continue to do is just get the the information out, have more public awareness opportunities. The VITA sites have been a great way. We've been able to share with all of those that have accessed that service where they can go when they get their return to save money and to talk to people about how they can best use their return. So that's our plan this year. And of course, we continue to work with you and the other partners to figure out what are other things that we need to do that we aren't doing already.
That is amazing. I love hearing that. I recently had an opportunity to visit several sort of surrounding parishes that we service, and I was out just doing some different things, some different outreach things, and I'm always just amazed at the different communities around Lafayette. You stay in Lafayette so much, unless you're from one of those communities, you almost forget how just they're all a little bit different, and they all have something special about them, in their own history and all these things. And so I love just the more we do this, the further we can reach and the more we can help. And it's such a great thing to be part of. And I love that you guys are kind of leading that charge and allowing us to be part of it. It's
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we're grateful to have you. Thank you.
yeah, it's a bright future. I think we have a lot we can do.
Yeah. We never run out.
Yeah. Well, so as we wrap up, is there anything else you wanted to add or share with our listeners?
I'm just excited again to continue this work and that we are able to provide these services in our communities. And I am so grateful for all the banks and credit unions that we have a choice. So many areas don't have a choice. And again, using technology is a great way to ensure that we are able to spread out into areas that you may not have brick and mortar everywhere, right? But you do have an ability to get out there and be with people, get them signed up, help them access services. I look forward to the day I can tell that story about like San Francisco, that within a certain amount of time that we were able to impact X amount of families. Looking forward to doing some of that as well. But if anyone's interested in learning about who all the partners are or where they can get more information, please, Heather, send them to our website. And there's a specific page on our website named Bank On that they can do the / thing after unitedwayofacadiana.org /bank on, and they'll learn more about that.
Absolutely. I will make sure I put that down in the show notes too, so that people can find it if they need it. Well, thank you so much for being here. I've thoroughly enjoyed talking to you, and even being part of the program, there's still things that I learned as we talked. So thank you for bringing this to our listeners. I know it's very important, and I think it will be impactful and helpful for a lot of people in the Acadiana area. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Heather. Have a great one.
Welcome to the Employee Spotlight segment of our podcast. Here at First Pioneers, we're a big family, so we want you guys to get to know ours. And today we have a special guest, Reagan, with us. Hi, Reagan.
Hi.
Why don't you start by introducing yourself to the listeners?
Hi, I'm Reagan. I am the social media marketer at First Pioneers, and I've been here for a little over a year.
Awesome. And we're so glad you're here, especially me. So let's get started with your questions. What is a fun fact about you that maybe no one else knows?
So a fun fact about me is I went to a school in Dallas my freshman year of college, and they asked me if they could put my picture on a billboard to advertise for the school. And I actually ended up transferring. So by the time they put this huge billboard with my face on it to advertise for the art department, I didn't even go there anymore. And it was really funny because people would send me pictures and texts hey, I saw you on a YouTube ad today for this college. And it was just really funny because I didn't go there anymore. But it was a cool experience because I was on a billboard. So yeah.
That's really neat. So you'll just be advertising for them for years, probably.
Probably.
Okay, so next, what is your favorite hobby?
My favorite hobby is probably my little side business that I have. So I recently started, I've always loved thrifting in my free time, and I recently started a reselling account. So I'll go find like cool vintage and thrifted clothes and like revamp them and then sell them online. And it's been really fun because you get to meet a lot of cool people and you get to find like a lot of cool, unique clothes and just get to sell them. So yeah, I love doing that.
Oh, that sounds so fun. I love sort of repurposing things, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
Finding a new life for it is always a neat thing. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so last but not least, what are you binge watching these days?
Oh gosh. I binge watch TV all the time, but my favorite show to binge watch is New Girl because it's like the best show ever. But I think I just finished binge watching Gossip Girl as well. So I love binge watching TV.
Oh my goodness. Well, those sound, I don't think I've seen either one of those. I'll
You
have
should
to,
definitely watch New Girl if you haven't seen it. It's phenomenal.
yeah, I've heard that one is really good and just really
Yeah.
funny.
Mm.
So I may have to check that one out. I'm always looking for something new to watch. So maybe I'll check that one out
Yeah.
next. Well, thanks so much for being here today. We appreciate it. We really enjoyed talking with you. And to all of our listeners, we will see you next time. Thank you so much for listening today. We hope you found this information helpful, and we'd love it if you'd give us a rating. And don't forget to favorite or subscribe to the show. There are several ways you can find us if you need further information or you need to speak with a financial counselor. You can visit us in person in Lafayette or New Iberia, Louisiana, or you can find us at firstpioneers.com. There you can find out how to become a member of our family and find out other financial information. Be sure and check out the show notes for important links and other information. And as always, we're here to help in any way that we can. We hope you have a great day, and we'll see you next time.